Today's question is, if Allah is all-loving, why does the Quran teach in Surah 19, Ayahs 70 to 72, that all Muslims will go to hell, at least temporarily, together with the non-Muslims? Arbery's translation says this: Then we shall pluck forth from every party whichever of them was the most hardened in disdain of the All-Merciful. Then we shall know very well those most deserving to burn there. Not one of you there is, but he shall go down to it. That for thy Lord is a thing decreed, determined. Then we shall deliver those that were God-fearing, and the evildoers we shall leave there, hobbling on their knees. The late Yousef Ali wrote the following concerning this passage, and I quote, "Three interpretations are possible. Number one, the general interpretation is that everyone must pass through, or by, or over the fire. Those who have taqwa will be saved by Allah's mercy, while unrepentant sinners will suffer the torments and ignominy. Number two, if we refer the pronoun you to those in obstinate rebellion in verse 69 above, both the leaders and followers in sin, this verse only applies to the wicked. Number three, some refer this verse to the bridge over hell, the bridge Sirat, over which all must pass to their final destiny. This bridge is not mentioned in the Quran. Please do not miss that, according to Yousef Ali, the general Muslim understanding of this passage has been that everyone will have to pass through, by, or over the fire. Indeed, the majority of Islamic scholarship hold the position that the verse is addressing every person, not just the wicked. Please see the description box for further study on this. Dear listener, the prospect of hell is horrific. Wouldn't you expect Allah to offer reassurance as to how someone qualifies to be plucked out? Worse still, wouldn't you expect a loving God to offer a way to avoid hell in the first place? Wasn't the Quran sent down as a guidance? What is Allah's purpose in sending all Muslims to hell? Why does the passage not explain why all Muslims will be sent to hell? Wouldn't you conclude that this is a cruel and unloving act on Allah's part towards those described in the passage as God-fearing, who will eventually be plucked out anyway? Since Allah is said to be all-loving, why would he not protect the God-fearing from torment in hell, bringing them straight to paradise? And as an aside, can you point me to one passage in the Quran speaking of a redemptive act of Allah? The Bible is replete with accounts of God's acts of loving kindness. And God's greatest act of love was in sending Jesus to die in place of guilty sinners. You see, God is perfect, and sin is not just a slip or a mistake. In the Quran, the problem of sin is minimized, and there is no assurance of salvation. But there is good news. The Bible teaches us that Jesus came to earth to pay the price for sin that we could never pay. This is because God's standard is perfection. No human has ever achieved perfection, except Jesus in his incarnation. Only Jesus, who was sinless, could bear the burden on behalf of guilty sinners. Good works cannot save you. Your best efforts will fall short of God's perfect standard. The 10 Commandments were given by God to show that we fail to obey them perfectly. Salvation is fully a work of God to save hopeless sinners. And for the believer, good works are not what save them. Rather, good works are a willing act of gratitude to God for their salvation, which he has freely given to them. Jesus taught that those who reject God's offer of mercy in this life would ultimately lose everything in the next. Jesus describes this place as hell. To die without faith in Jesus is to go to hell. And just as it is appointed for man to die once, and after that comes judgment. And Jesus is the judge. Jesus said this, "Unless you believe that I am He, you will die in your sins." Dear friends, Jesus is coming again, not to deal with sin, because everything that had to be done has already been done. It was accomplished by His death and resurrection. Next time Jesus comes, it will be to save those who are eagerly waiting for Him. Jesus offers assurance of salvation for those who trust in Him. To trust in Jesus is to experience God's peace now and the joys of heaven for all eternity. God bless you.